Sup everybody, this is Karak with ACG and it's my continuing real-time tactical mission to bring you reviews that aren't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap. Today is M.E.R.C by Tiny Mob Games. It's a title that's going into early access today for $19.99, and for that it offers early access to 9 storyline missions as well as procedurally generated side missions as you take your mercenary team into the city of Neotopia. And trust me, it's more like Nope-Nopia because nothing is actually going right here, and large corporations wage unsilent war in the streets, and you get to run a mercenary unit taking jobs for the highest bidder. So basically you take your team out of 4 highly trained death dealers and begin a quest to see how many poor SOBs you can turn into pink mist before death, or worse yet, insolvency, gets you and your team. Let's see how it did, shall we? As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's my review for M.E.R.C's Early Access. Expendables Expendabled, the world's worst healthcare system, and what it's like to fight a supervillain known simply as the Eye. Graphics are up first. So even though this is an early access title and we understand that smaller budgets do end up affecting the look, plain and simple there are some issues here. Now, taking the understanding that it has some XCOM stylings, you're going to notice a familiarity in the feel for loadouts and various other bits of the HUD. But sadly, my god, the location's been run straight through a friggin' Alzheimer's filter. They're drab, repetitive affairs spiffied up to try to hide their level design, but after the 3rd mission you're going to be wondering where the hell you left the quit button. Zooming in nets you a pretty good look at your characters with them updating when you buy new items, but overall the one thing you can see here is that the cookie cutter level design, where even less than 5 missions in I started to get confused and thinking I was redoing missions, and that pervades through the entire title. And again, it's not the tile set itself, because this is an alpha and it's every bit as restrictive as you would expect for a title not seeing completion for at least 6 months, but it's how they put together everything with the barest of designs that really killed my soul. Be amazed as you walk past barrel 34, look on in wonder as you pass the 99th noodle shop, stare in awe as the enemies pipe out of a glow-in-the-dark door with shields on them, the proverbial monster closet spawning bad guys like 2 people are inside fucking at superhero speed. Listen, I know what to expect from alphas, I play them all the time, but you need to grab the audience in an alpha. You need to make them understand why an early access is worth putting money forward. So far, with graphics at least, this does not happen, because shooting the shit out of Sean who spawned out of Shack 7 for the 400th time can get really goddamn old. So far, though, when it comes to the character designs, well, yeah, they're also typical atypical modern hero with forgettable faces, so that when your M.E.R.C you just groomed for a couple missions gets mulched by an enemy's grenade to the face, you don't feel so bad. Now, all that being said, that doesn't mean that there's not good parts. This ran incredibly well. It never crashed, it had a good frame rate at 1440p, and had a couple various normal options for graphics like shadows, anti-aliasing, and so forth. Also, the presentation is actually pretty good, even though it is generic. The fact that you can understand pretty much what's going on where, and it's very easy to see, and it doesn't have a lot of extra filler, actually allows you to make some choices, buy the stuff you need to do, and get back in a mission. Pretty simple. I think the real issue here is you put forward that you've got a game like this, and a game like this is going to solidify itself on 2 things. 1, the graphics of the squad, and 2, the graphics of the level, or at least the level design. One can sort of take the place for the other as you move forward. Here, unfortunately, we don't see a lot of that in either place. Honestly, at times, yes, it does look like it's run through generic filter 347, now with more genericness, but you will occasionally notice little depths of care taken in various rusted out texturing or explosion effects, and it's proof they are working on bringing that art style up to something that makes M.E.R.C actually look unique. The real issue here, though, is you cannot make the levels be this robotic even if they are procedural, and even the story level look the same way. It's a rough start, but not without bits of hope. Sound, music, and voice. And as you guys know, it's no surprise, sound is up first, and unfortunately it's hit and miss. When the sniper rifle goes off, you're gonna swear that in the game, simultaneously, everybody just shits their pants. It's hilariously spot on, it's super loud. But then you have various SMGs and normal assault rifles, and they just never sound right, lacking any punch, and even seem a bit off in their layering. It sounds like someone's throwing fucking stock purchase sound samples from a PS2 day and using them for the guns. I really wish that wasn't the case, and I hope that gets fixed. Now, explosions, special effects, and otherwise fall from okay to excellent depending on what particular skill or item you're using, but there is a weird particular crunch within some of these samples. Overall, I'd say it's a mixed bag right now, but plenty of time to fix some of this. Now, one particular awesome bit is the slowdown sound and how when the power is fading, the sound begins to slowly speed up and warbles just a little bit. It's an excellent use of effects there to inform the gamer. And of course, that brings us to music. You know, have you ever heard the theme song to 100 Valkyries riding Clydesdale horses while wielding their dead enemies as flesh swords? You have now. It's epic, and it's got that high-tech military slant that you guys know I love, especially for these kind of games. It's really not bad at all, and lo and behold, one or two of the tracks actually reminded me forcibly of my old favorite Unreal 1999 with their simple layered synths under completely sampled horns. I really dug it, it fit, it's not a classic, but it adds to the atmosphere. Voice. Not much of any right now, so let's move on. Gameplay. You know, it's all pretty simple, so let's discuss the story for a second. Welcome to Neotopia, the last city, and of course it's fallen apart and a group known as Manta is causing issues, basically Cobra. So lo and behold, you're hired to start a mercenary group and fix some of these situations. Now, once you name your group, you're basically thrown into the game with a couple tutorials, or, well, actually, it's just more like, go here, do this kind of stuff. It's not really even a tutorial. In fact, it sort of ends after just 3 or 4 steps. I actually liked that. Now, your job is to take the mercs out and do jobs for more than 6 industrial companies, which of course will adjust their likability towards you and make others hate you, but they each have a reason you might want to join them, whether that be equipment or monetarily. Now, you need to stay solvent, which means taking jobs which usually involve you going out and killing someone and then sprinting back to your air taxi to jet off into the wild unknown. Each job nets you cash that can be used to rent more soldiers, buy body armor, helmets, leg armor, and new weapons. Once you get everybody outfitted up, you decide to jump into the missions. Now, this will tell you the difficulty and the possible reward, but really everything's fairly mundane stuff, even for the story missions, and most play out somewhat the same. Unfortunately, the game's difficulties like that one ex you had who loved to fight before sex, mood swings galore, crazy difficult at times, and just straight up unhealthy for both of you. I mean, we've all seen the mercenary movies like Expendables, where each one of them has disposable drug habits, awesome motorbikes, and fucking hobby planes, and shit, you think this must be the life, but trust me, they're the Lakers versus your local hometown high school team that uses 2 rubber bands and a blown-out Dixie cup for a jockstrap because they can't afford good stuff. Because plan to be cash-strapped like a motherfucker, and that's if you win the level, let alone if you guys take a dirt nap. Because if you look at the reward plus random things you find in a level that net you maybe $3,000, but a single helmet costs you $2,000, even I can do that math. That's, of course, if you're alive to do it, because when you enter the missions, you find out that a 4-man squad you take can do things together in groups of 2, resulting in cool possibilities like flanking enemies, if those enemies don't see you from fucking orbit first. I guess in the future, the first thing corporations do is buy 17 pounds of duct tape and power 400 binoculars, and then just fucking wicker pattern strap those things to their forces' heads. And while stealth works, as with most skills, it's usable a certain number of times. What's 14 minus 2, you may ask? Well, that's the answer to the number of engagements you probably won't have stealth for. All that being said, not everything's bad. Moving your characters is dead simple, and it needs to be for a real-time game like this. Click on locations, and for the most part, your little avatars of aggression actually hide behind items as they should. You also have super slow M.E.R.C time, which is useful for the moment you realize you're being flanked by enemies that can see a shrew's ballsack at 980 miles out. Each character class in battle has specific skills, like I said before, some like headshot, stealth, suppressing fire, rocket launchers, and impromptu energy shields, and a number of others. And people, that's actually when the game really gets going, especially when the game starts throwing dudes at you with waves of rocket launchers backed up by the weakest sounding guns you've ever seen before. No shit. It's scarier hearing people shuffle fucking papers in your general direction versus getting shot with these things. But honestly, there's nothing like coming out of the other side of a battle here with half your skills used up as a ballistic shield fades just as a rocket hits its last remnant, saving your lives. It's pretty goddamn epic, and whether split up or in groups of 2, everyone seems to have at least one keystone skill that works great by affecting enemy range, shielding you, blowing them up, or an assortment of other things. And the ability to switch between the 2 squads or use them all at once is as simple as a single button. It works well, though for what I can tell, you can't send them by themselves. It's either 2 groups of 2 or the full group of 4 until someone dies. Then by pure math, some poor Johnny Death Appleseed is still going to be going it alone, which sadly means they're probably going to die. But that really shouldn't take anything away from that gameplay loop that is there. There is something very, very cool and very tangible going on. It's just unfortunately covered with some other shit. Now, as you guys know, I test AI on all different levels from the lowest to the highest. Unfortunately, the level here isn't switchable when it comes to the AI, but besides their uncanny at times ability to see you from half a level away, they actually do pretty okay, hiding behind items and retreating a bit to regroup and grouping back up. It's not Halo level AI, but actually I did die a couple times just by being a bit inattentive. Something that doesn't actually happen in many current finished titles, sadly enough. Now, this still means that there's a couple of logic mistakes, and as this is an early access title, that's completely understandable. Now, at some point, whether all in one piece or with only one M.E.R.C left, you will finish a level, and you'll get told how much money it was worth and what mission goals you hit, and if folks were mulched during the battle, they're actually back alive at the base, which is sort of nice, but also a little bit odd. Weirdly, the game doesn't heal characters at all, unless you tell it to. No slow-mo healing with the ability to buff it when you spend cash. Instead, warriors are left inside of a bubbling ruin of their own leaking skin sacks until you get a separate screen and say, yes, please start healing. It's fucking odd, and actually it's a bit cruel. Maybe they were trying to mimic the VA's imbecilic care. If so, they nailed it. But what happens if all your guys are killed during a mission? Well, you bust back to your base to take care of things and push that heal button. But what if you run out of money? Well, then it's a game over, unless you have a save. And that's if the game didn't save as you were going bankrupt, which is cool if you're a cutter and want to self-harm because, boy, this game will take care of that urge. If not, it's a downward spiral into hoping somehow the game saved at a point where you weren't already screwed. You know, this may sound overly negative, and there are a lot of problems with this game, but as with all games of this type, there's a consistent push-pull of gameplay mechanics, pushing to finish jobs to get just a bit more money, but needing to outfit folks, but also not wanting someone to get hurt enough to need 5 days to rest and heal. The fact is, a lot of it is actually right. It's just a bit skewed. For example, unless I was missing something, which is perfectly possible with no tutorials, the fact is that I had the first 5 games finished after 2 losses, because 2 losses times the amount of time to heal the characters meant no work coming in, times the amount of money to heal them in cold hard cash meant that I ran out of cash each time, even if I took another bank loan. It feels that at the starting, getting a foothold is going to be more about getting just absolutely lucky more times than I care to count. And while doing jobs for some groups and getting their good side can steer the tide, it takes usually more than 2 jobs to start getting those benefits. And a lot of this is normal alpha stuff, but there was a lot of frustration here. Basically, I felt like a small town sheriff sent out to do my job, got shot, returned home, and somebody said, you know what, because you got shot, we're not going to pay you for this month. And of course, that brings us to fun factor. And admittedly, they nailed it in a couple places, including a little bit of that push-pull. And advancing days to heal your wounded team can be really stressful as hell, as you have a threat meter slowly rising or jobs coming and going as you're stuck weaning Joff soft boot off of liquid meals. I love that tension, though at times, even for me, it was turned up a bit higher than I would have liked. But when you do pull one out and watch your last enemy fall down as you sprint back towards the empty space pod, checking every box, body, and blind corner for anything worth picking up and selling to some kind of trader, it's actually pretty damn cool. So as you guys know, with early access titles, I rate them usually on a buy or a wait rating scale. This is a wait. You know, it's not all bad, and as I continued to play it, I did notice some parts that I really liked, and that push-pull there, some fantastic little bits. But something about it just didn't sit right with me, and I think that's the fact that everything within M.E.R.C looks like its artistic license has been fucking steamrolled right out of it. And until the gameplay offers something really unique and deep to offset some of the world's Alzheimer-rich, repetitive level design, I am not actually in. And that's it for me. One more review down. If you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike the video, give it a thumbs down. If I've ever saved you any cash, maybe check out the Patreon or the Amazon affiliates. Those are 2 ways in which you can really help the channel. Otherwise, peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.